Hello, today I come to you with a story from the King Janaka and the sage Ashtavakra. King Janaka was sleeping in his palace surrounded by the comforts provided by his attendants, and in his sleep he saw a dream, in fact, a nightmare. He dreamt that he was a beggar roaming around in a desert who was very thirsty and hungry as well. He was roaming around, he could not see any human in sight, and in the distance he saw a hut, and he tried to proceed as fast as he can towards that hut. So this poor beggar, this the King Janaka, he proceeds towards that hut, and he notices that somebody has thrown out a banana leaf with leftover food out of their window of that hut, and he runs to snatch that leftover food, that banana leaf. At that very moment, a dog comes trotting from somewhere and snatches away the leaf. And the beggar, he collapses there because of thirst and hunger, and he starts crying. And the King Janaka, he falls down from his palatial bed, and he is crying. He comes out of his nightmare. All the attendants gather around him. My lord, O king, how can we help you? What food do you need? Because he was crying food. So what food do you need? What drink do you want? And then Janaka looks at himself and he sees that he's sweating completely. He takes a glass of water and he thinks, what is this? A moment ago, I was experiencing extreme thirst and hunger, and now I am here in the comforts of the palace. What is it? Which is real? Is this real or that real? So he becomes very confused. An ordinary man would have been confused, but Janaka was a very learned scholar, a philosopher, a person, a master of the scriptures. So he starts wondering, what is real? What is reality? So he, in the middle of the night, he calls a meeting of his courtiers. He summons his court, and all the courtiers assemble, and he asks them, see, I had a very mysterious dream. I dreamt that I was a beggar, and I was feeling extreme thirst. I experienced the pangs of hunger and thirst. And when I woke up, I found that I'm the king. So am I a beggar who is dreaming that he is a king, or am I a king who is dreaming that he is a beggar? You have to tell me. So the courtiers, they were also very learned people, very great scholars. He had many even rishis, sages of repute as his courtiers. So they said, no, king, you are actually the king. So then what is that experience? That is just a dream. But he said it was very real for me. I did not just experience it as a dream. It was a reality when I experienced it. I could see the sweat in my body even when I got up from that dream. So the courtier said, no, it is just for a few moments. Rest of the time you are the king. Before the dream you were a king. After the dream also you are a king. So the larger extension of time, you are the king. It was just for a few moments you experienced yourself as a beggar. So you are the king. This is the reality. So the king, Janaka, was not satisfied with that answer, because he was not just an ordinary king. He is known as Raja Rishi. He was a king and he was also a rishi, a monk, a sage at the same time. So he was not satisfied with the answer. So he sent out a message to scholars everywhere to provide him with some enlightening answer. So at last, a young sage, Ashtavakra, he comes to the court of Janaka. His name is very significant. Ashta means 8, Vakra means bend. So he is a person who has 8 bends in his body, and therefore he is very much handicapped. And at the same time, he is a very young scholar. He is said to have learned Vedas while he was there in the womb of his mother, listening to the Veda scriptures being recited outside, he learned everything, even while he was in the womb of his mother. So he was very young, and he comes to the court, and when he enters the court, all the courtiers start laughing because of his bent appearance as well as his age. He was a very young person compared to them. So looking at his age also, they start laughing because he is trying to come and teach a very senior king. Janaka was already an old man, and Ashtavakra is just less than half his age, and he is trying to come and teach. So these are the reasons the courtiers laughed. So looking at the courtiers, Ashtavakra asked Janaka, why do you have these cobblers for courtiers? Because that is because of their laughing, he said. So King Janaka said, why do you make such a statement, dear sage? They are all very eminent people. They are scholars. They are spiritual giants, some of them. So why do you make such a statement? Because they are looking at my appearance and making such a laughter. Because they are judging me by my appearance. Therefore, they are no better than cobblers who judge material according to their appearance. So Janaka gets the message. The courtiers also get the message. They become silent, and Janaka apologizes. I'm sorry. I really apologize. And he requests the sage to come and take a seat. So Ashtavakra sits, and Janaka puts the same question to him. I dreamt and experienced the pangs of hunger and thirst as a beggar. Am I a beggar who is dreaming that he is a king, or am I a king who is dreaming that he is a beggar? So Ashtavakra said, neither is true. You are neither a king, you are neither nor a beggar. So he says, then what is the reality? The reality is the consciousness that experienced that you are a beggar. It is the same consciousness that experienced that you are a king. So the consciousness alone is real. The experience is not real. So the king gets an idea of what reality is, and he falls at the feet of sage Ashtavakra and accepts him as his preceptor. And then ensues the dialogue between Raja Janaka and the sage Ashtavakra, which later became the Ashtavakra Gita, which is a treatise on the reality and experience. So this is the story of the Raja Rishi Janaka and the saint Ashtavakra. Thank you.